Okay, so we are just back from Las Vegas from the 2016 Dream On convention, and I am not exaggerating when I tell you it was the biggest and best event yet. It was over the top. There were 12,000 of us there. They did tell us the first day that in 2011, at their first convention just 5 years ago, they had 248 ambassadors attend convention. Guys, we have 437,000 ambassadors in this company, and there were about 12,000 of us there at convention. It was very energetic, and it was kind of hard to not be overwhelmed by being part of something when there's just that many excited people in a room that are all there for the same purpose and pushing towards the same goals. So I've asked the people who went to really give us like their top 5 to 10, because some people couldn't narrow it down, takeaways. So Courtney and Amanda and Shelby could not be on tonight. They had other things going on in life, so that is understandable. I have some of the tips from them that they sent me, and I'll be sharing those in a little bit too. But I'm going to go ahead and start and just kind of give you my overview. For one, I just really feel like these corporate events are so empowering because we get to hear directly from our leadership. When the president of the company and the CEO get up on stage and just tell us, that they're not going to make a decision in this company if it doesn't benefit the company and the ambassadors both in the present and in the long run, because that's something that they're thinking about. They're thinking about the sustainability and the legacy of this company, and they want to keep that intact and make sure that they do things with integrity. And it's just refreshing to hear that they're not making decisions based on their bottom line if it's going to hurt us, and they're not making decisions to improve our lives that are going to hurt the company. It has to be mutually beneficial, and that's just really, really comforting for me to know that our company is going to be around for a really long time. So we heard from a lot of different people throughout convention, a lot of different leaders in the company, and then we had some guest speakers and different things like that. So my top takeaways are going to come from not only the general sessions and those speakers, but some from my breakout session that I went to that was Ruby and Senior Rubies. Stephanie and Courtney and Shelby went to the Gold and Senior Gold breakout session, and then Karen, my mom, and Amanda went to the Ambassador through Silver breakout session. So we're going to get a little bit of all of those, which is really beneficial. Corporate will release the full audio of all of those sessions at some point. Last year it took several months for those to be available, so hopefully we will have those sometime later this fall. But until then, you'll get some of our notes. So the very first thing is, this came from Kristen Abart in our breakout session when she was talking about her journey, and she said that when she started, her sponsor is Lori Welch, and Lori told her, talk to the most influential people first, because those are the people that you want on your team. Those are the people that you want them to have that big buy-in in the very beginning. You don't want to wait. And yes, they are the most scary to talk to because they're influential for a reason. But those are the people who are going to make the biggest impact on your team. So don't be scared of them. Tell them that you're talking to them because they're influential and because you know what impact they can have. Really build them up so that they feel like that you're contacting them for a specific purpose. And then really to see those people in your life, your network, whether it's 100 people or 1,000 people, but to see your network as a room full of doors that will open that up to the rest of the world. We've all seen and played that game about the 6 degrees of separation based on your network. And then each of those doors opening a different person, it's opening to their network. And then those people's network is opening to the next. And that will influence the entire world if you really approach it that way. So that was one of the main things that she talked about, is just really envisioning the influence you have on the people in your life to impact such a greater amount of people, because I've talked to people and they're like, I don't know very many people. I only have like 100 Facebook friends, and I don't see very many people on a daily basis. I work from home, or, I'm a full-time mom. But it's not just about who you know. It's about who they know and who those people know. So just seeing that and envisioning it rather than feeling closed off. One of the other things that we talked about in that session, and this came from Kelly Norman, who's another diamond, and I had never heard Kelly speak, but she was very motivating. She talked a lot about mindset, and one of the things that she said that really just kind of hit me hard was that there is no expiration date on your purpose or your potential. And I don't know about you guys, that just gave me chills again. I don't know about you guys, but I really feel like that God brought Plexus to me when he did for a reason. And that I suffered for many years with an illness. And there has to be a purpose in that. And if that means that my purpose was to start Plexus and then have life-changing health improvements so that I would tell other people, then I have a duty to fulfill that purpose. Because that's how I feel. I feel like God brought me to this for a purpose. And like she said, there's no expiration date on that. It may take me 10 years to fulfill whatever purpose that God has for me in this company, but I need to do that until I get to a point where I feel like, okay, this was why I was put here. So that may be one customer that I need to influence. That may be a rank in the company. That may be helping someone else specific get to a different rank in the company, whatever that is. But knowing that this is my purpose and I cannot stop. I have a responsibility to keep going if this is the purpose that God gave to me. Another thing that she talked about was focusing on your strengths and take the word weakness out of your vocabulary, because weakness is just simply non-dominant traits. So from now on, when somebody asks you, what are your weaknesses? You can say, I don't have any, but some of my less dominant traits are, and you can tell them. But beyond that, those non-dominant traits are not things that we need to work on because they're non-dominant for a reason. So if you find your strengths and you know what they are and you work to improve them, then those non-dominant areas are going to improve as well when you work on your strengths. If you think about your strengths and your non-dominant areas and you categorize them like on a scale of 1 to 10, and you say, okay, in communication, I'm a 7. In, one specific area, maybe I'm a 3. Working on that 3 is going to take you a long time to build that up. But what if you got that 7 to a 10? Because that's not going to be nearly as difficult. And in doing so, that 3 is probably going to rise just because you as a person are improving yourself. So not focusing so much on those, focusing on your strengths and realizing that those non-dominant traits are going to eventually improve, or you will compensate for them in such a way that they don't really matter anymore. She talked a lot about the fact that we can change our brain just by thinking. Our own thoughts can actually structurally change our brain. And I know that to be true. I've studied it in a lot of neurodevelopmental stuff that I've done with athletic training. And it really is true. You can create new pathways and change the way that your brain works with your thoughts. So that we need to make sure we're having those positive thoughts. I'm not really sure who said this. I think it came from one of our actual executives in the company. But they said that these speed bumps that we're having along the way, and whether it be corporate speed bumps with back office or shipping or products being back ordered or whatever it is, or whether it's personal speed bumps, like, oh, I keep signing people up and then the other people are turning off their backup order and I can't move forward. Whatever those things are, it just means that we're moving forward and we're growing. If we weren't having speed bumps, that's because we're not moving. So those are okay things. We just need to have a good mindset about them as they come up, rather than letting a minor speed bump completely derail our train. I've seen it happen. It happened a lot last fall when we had issues with back office and we had issues with shipping. A lot of people got derailed by that. So just making sure that our mindset stays positive and realizing that those speed bumps are what they are. And nobody likes them. Nobody likes to drive through a parking lot and hit speed bump after speed bump, but that means you're still moving forward, and that's what we need to focus on. John Addison was our keynote speaker, and he spoke at the very last session, and he had a lot of great things to say. And there was also some humor in a lot of it too, but one of the things was you should never take advice from anyone more screwed up than you are. I believe he had a funny story to go along with it. I don't remember what that was, but just the idea of that. Because there's a lot of people out there who are going to have opinions, and they're going to have things to say. Some of them may be related to you. Some of them may live in your own home. But if they're not more successful than you are, and they're not on the right path, then don't worry what they have to say. So don't take advice from people more screwed up than you. He also said that we need to be a lighthouse, and that if we're willing to stand on a rock, people are going to come to us and they're going to pay attention. But lighthouses are not needed on sunny days. They're needed during a storm. And so we need to be that lighthouse during the storm, whether that's a customer that's having difficulty with the products, or if it's your teammates that are having difficulty with the business, if it's just in life in general. But be a lighthouse, and not just on those sunny days when it's easy to stand up on a rock and shine for everybody, but you're needed most in a storm so that you can guide people and help them to see the right path. And then the last one is a quote that he shared with us from Winston Churchill. And he said, "Strength is granted to us all when we are needed to serve great causes." And I would imagine all of us agree that helping people change their health and change the financial future for them is a great cause. And I feel honored to be able to be in this position and help people improve their lives. And I feel honored to lead you guys, and just knowing that strength is given to us when we're needed to serve. And I really do feel like that this is a servant kind of thing. And one other thing, I meant to write it down and I completely forgot, but I'm going to pull it up really quick. It was something that I shared last year on Facebook on this day, and it came up on my thing for on this day in the past this morning. And it really just reminded me of exactly what we were talking about tonight. And this is Psalms 37:5. "Commit your way to the Lord, trust also in him, and he will bring it to pass." So if we're working this business and we commit to it fully, and we do it with integrity the way that God would want us to do it, and we trust in him that he is going to bless us and our journey, then he will bring it to pass when it's the right time for him. Maybe it's not the right time for us. Maybe I wanted to be Emerald 6 months ago. Maybe I wanted to be Emerald a year ago, but that's not the right time for him. So just knowing that is there and praying over that, I think will be really beneficial to us all. I do have one funny story that we talked about in our breakout session, and I'm going to try to tell it to you the best way that I can remember it, just to kind of give you an illustration. And this was more in line with the strengths versus non-dominant traits. She was talking about a bunny, and this bunny went to school, and it was bunny school, and everybody was there, and they were doing all of these different things. And this bunny excelled in jumping and in running, but really, really struggled with swimming. And at the end of the school year, the bunny passed jumping and running, but he failed in swimming. And so he got held back, and the teacher told him, "You did a really great job in these areas, but you didn't do good in swimming. So next year, you're only going to focus on swimming." And the next year, when they got back to school and the bunny focused solely on swimming, that was the year the bunny died. The whole room was laughing hysterically, because I don't think that's the way anybody expected that story to finish. But that's just to show you that focusing on those negative things and focusing on those areas that you aren't dominant is not going to get you nearly as far as focusing on the things that you're great at and focusing on the areas where you excel. If you're a bunny and you're good at swimming, or if you're good at running and jumping, then run and jump. If you're a dolphin and you're good at swimming, then swim. but you can't be everything. So focusing on those areas, really where the key is. Okay, Stephanie, I'm going to unmute you and you are good to go. And then I will come back after that and share some of Courtney's since they were in the same session.
Okay. Some of mine are not maybe from specifically that session, but the first one is use the success guide. It was given to us. It was developed specifically for us. They put a lot of money and effort and research and everything else into it. And before this breakout session, I looked through it and was just kind of over. Quick, the 10 get started guide. That's the one that she went over the most.
Okay.
So anyway, I didn't really look and pour myself into it like I should have whenever we first got it after Super Saturday, but there's so much information. That's the one. And she went through it, divided into like 3 separate levels, clumped a bunch of them together, and it made so much more sense. It was, it just worked better for my way of thinking. So use the success guide. It was given to us for a reason, and it will help us help our new people get on the map, get paid, and get them to kind of what their goals are. I think it was Rita Davenport who said, Facebook equals waste book. Yes. I am so guilty always, because I think I'm just going to pop on, check a few things, say happy birthday, check my messages, and get off. And then 30 minutes later, I have squandered all of my time into useless nonsense. So Facebook equals waste book. Don't waste your time. Just, whatever. This one was a really big one, and I thought, I'm really confused by this when they put it up on the slide. But after she explained it, it made so much more sense. And she said, I can't remember who said this, but it was in my breakout session. But anyway, multitasking is a myth. She said when her husband was home and he was on a work call and he refused to change a diaper while he was on the phone, it would infuriate her. And it took her a while. And that she said, I'm trying to find the notes for it exactly. Oh, yeah. She said that it would infuriate her, but then she finally realized that he wasn't able to give 100% of his thoughts, concentration, and effort into that phone call if he was doing something else. Yes, both would get done, but what's he leaving behind because he was distracted by changing a diaper or whatever else? So whenever you're doing your business, if you're talking to a potential and you're saying, oh my gosh, this new edge, it's so great. Yes, I know you want peanut butter and jelly. And then you come back. They're not getting your full attention. You're not able to concentrate well. And you really need to have time to focus solely on what you're focused on. Okay, let's see. Be the leader, not the boss. So that one's pretty self-explanatory, but it did kind of make good sense. We're all just our own bosses in this, and we have leaders to help us, show us the way. And, I'm my own boss. I make my own decisions, and if I don't make the right ones, then I don't succeed. So anyway, let's see. Get happy every day. Don't wait on circumstances to make you happy. Wake up, make up your mind. You're going to have a good day. Be happy with what you have, and your whole day will go better. To go along with that one, act the way you want to feel, and you will feel the way you act. So those two go really close together. And then my last one is, I think it was from John Addison, and he said, I think it was him, spend more time on your sphere of influence instead of your sphere of interest. I think, was that him that said that?
I think so. That sounds familiar.
But I really haven't nailed down exactly what that means for me yet, but I felt like it really kind of hit home. And so I know that I just need to,
Mama, I thought.
Yes, it was him.
Okay. So, I think that's just, don't waste all your time just doing what you're interested in. Like, really reach out to the people who you can influence and who influence others.
No.
Okay. All right. So Courtney was in the same breakout session as her. I think a lot of hers were just general from a lot of the general sessions, and then an overview, not so much specific quotes. But hers were, number one is use your momentum. I'm going to embellish this, but momentum is very hard to create. So when you have it, you need to use it to its fullest potential. And I was looking for this in mind because Kristen Abart was talking to us about her road to Emerald and to Diamond. And she said that you cannot do it without momentum. You must have momentum. And it's just really that absolutely monumental. So definitely that's a big thing. Number two is be positive. And that goes with so many different aspects of this, but don't get down on yourself. And we all have bad days. We do. And it's frustrating, but we can't dwell there. We need to stay positive. Her number three was be consistent every single day. And I have somewhere in here that and I think it was John Addison, he said that you should have a list of must-dos each day, and that until all of your must-dos are completely done, you shouldn't do anything else in your day. So if your must-dos for your IPA are 5 new contacts and 5 follow-ups, then you don't do anything else until they're done. You don't check your Facebook messages. You don't send out any new emails. You don't do any of those things until your must-dos are completely done. And he said that a lot of people will have success, a little bit of success, not even great success, but they'll have a little bit, and then they'll forget what they did to get there, so they don't continue in that on a daily basis. So making sure you do that something every single day consistently. Her number 4 was do something scary every day. I'm pretty sure that came from Jess's Diamond speech. And you guys, this is scary. There's parts of this that terrify me. And I know that that's the case for most of you. We've all got fears, no matter what they are, and they're all different. But it is terrifying. None of us were really probably born to be a network marketer. So just do something scary every day. If we all only ever stayed in our comfort zones, we would not be where we are right now. And then her number 5 was, it's a numbers game. The more that you reach out to, the more will join. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's a graphic going around Facebook that is a picture of the entire room of the ambassadors, and all of the jewels sat on the floor. They had floor seats, and it's circled and says, this is what rejection looks like. Because they've had more no's than all of us, and that's why they're there, because they reached out to more people, and they got told no more times, but kept going back than all of us. So doing that every day, continuing to reach out, playing that numbers game is going to get us there in the long run, because you'll never get there without reaching out to more people. And if it's not a numbers game for you, then you might be doing something totally different. But for most of us, that's exactly what it is. We should expect no's from people because they don't really know what we have. They don't understand it. But it's our job to help them understand it. But you should expect no's. It's just going to be the way it is, and that's okay. But those who talk to the most people win. Those are her 5. And then I am going to let Karen speak here about what hers are. And I know she has more than 5. It was hard to narrow those down too. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. The first one is from Rita Davenport, and she said, it will cost you nothing to dream, but everything if you don't. And I know that's one I struggle with, that I don't set my dreams out there in front of me too much. So I need to work on that. And then Sheila Medina, always be listening more than talking. Make your conversations about them and establish that relationship. Make sure that that comes first. And when you're asking questions, ask about their family, their occupation, their recreation, their dreams, so that you know what is the most important to them. I'm trying to remember who said this one, but to make a pro and con list with your potentials. If they are struggling, trying to decide whether or not they're going to get on board with the product, sit down with them and have them write out the pros of being on the products, and then the cons, and then talk them through that. Rebecca, how do you say that?
Folks.
Anyway, said social media is not an option, but you have to post strategically, very carefully, post smart. Be positive. People will buy from me before they buy the product. So we have to have that relationship with them and make them want to buy into it because they trust us. And then also the 30-30-30 rule on posting. 30% Plexus, 70% about things that I do. And then she broke it down even further. She had a 10-4-1 rule. Out of 15 posts, 10 should not be related to Plexus in any way, shape, or form. Just what's going on, family way, whatever. 4 should be indirectly about Plexus. Hey, I made a batch of cookies for an event and wasn't tempted to eat any. Or something like that. And then 1 direct post specifically about Plexus, a testimony or product information. Brenda Martin said to use strong present tense words and give those positive affirmations. And that people don't buy what you do, they buy they buy why you do it. So they listen more to your why, so make sure you have a good why. And Brenda Martin also said, belief is whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And that's a quote by Henry Ford. And hope is what brings you into the business, but belief is what keeps you in. So you really have to believe in the products. And that true success comes from belief. I'm trying to remember who said this one, but it's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives. It's what we do consistently. Oh, that was a quote by Tony Robbins. And then I think it was Tarl that said the speed bumps and do it afraid. Just get out there and do it. And then John Addison, get happy, stay happy. Nobody wants to buy from somebody grumpy. So if you're always in a bad mood, then nobody's going to listen to you. focus on what you can control, and develop a peaceful core. And I know that was way too many, but there were a lot of good ideas.
Yeah. One of the other things that Rita said that really kind of, and I think it's what she kicked off her entire speech with, is it's not about the fact that we got into Plexus, because that did take a leap of faith. It took us deciding that we wanted to make a change and deciding that we were going to give it a try and clicking join. But success is about Plexus getting into us, where it becomes a part of us, and that we cannot be separated from Plexus. So that when people know you, they know that you're with Plexus, that you don't get approached by people from other companies being like, hey, you want to do this instead? Because you're so much into Plexus, and Plexus is so much of who you are, that that's just not even an option. But that's where success comes from. Not you just clicking join and being in Plexus, but Plexus has to be in you. And I loved her quote about, it takes nothing to dream, but it will cost you everything if you don't. And that's just, it could not be more true. She also talked about the Israelites wandering in the wilderness with Moses. And she said that they wandered for 40 years, but the distance on the map from where they were when they left Egypt to where they ended up in Canaan, they could have walked it in 11 days. But because they weren't following what they were supposed to do, and they weren't paying attention, and they didn't have a plan, and they didn't have a guidance because they wanted to do it on their own, they wandered for 40 years. And she said, like, we have successful leaders. We have a plan. We know what we need to do. How long are we personally going to just wander out there without being on that path to success? So it just is what it is. One of the other things that she said was, one of the main reasons that we do this is to set an example for our kids. And we want to show them what it looks like to be successful, what it means to work hard and to achieve your goals and your dreams, and that we can do it. And not that I was ever taught that I couldn't dream or I couldn't be successful, but showing people by example what it means to work hard and to do that is a huge gift that we can give our kids. The day that I went Ruby, when I got the message, I was sitting here at my desk, and Taylor had been playing in my office all day long, as we were anxiously awaiting those things coming through. And when it happened, I mean, he was jumping up and down, screaming for joy with me, because he knew what it took, and he knew what amount of effort I had put into that. And I think that is something that will really stick with him for a long time, is that amount of effort and that amount of intense work that it takes to achieve your goals. And it's something that he understands because he witnessed it. So we do this to be an example to them. We talk a lot about having a why that's really impactful to us. But one of the things that she said was that your why has to be bigger than your why not. Like I said, we all have fears, and we all have things that can hold us back sometimes, whether that's I am going on a vacation for 2 weeks and I don't have time to do this. Or, I've had a lot of friends personally who their illness has relapsed some after they've started, and they've kind of fallen back from posting and talking about Plexus because of their own personal health. But your why has to be bigger than all of that. And it has to propel you forward, because that's really the only thing that will get you through, because that's so personal to you. Success, however you define it, is living your life the way that you choose to live it. It doesn't mean that you have to make $500,000. It doesn't mean that you have to be a diamond. Success to you is living the life the way that you choose to live it. She also said that do what you don't want to do for a little while so that you can do what you want to do forever. We see Jess and Rob, who are both working from home. Like, neither of them have a job outside the home, and they get to travel and do all of these things. They worked really hard for a short, intense amount of time. and people laughed at them and thought they were crazy. But now forever they can do whatever they choose, and it doesn't matter how many people laugh at them, they do not care. So making sure that we make those sacrifices sometimes, even when it's kind of hard. And then also, there was a quote that somebody said from Les Brown, and it's not over until you win. And like I said, winning can look different for all of us, but it's not over until we reach that success. So just making sure that you keep doing that. I mean, honestly, I probably have 60 pages of notes, and I would love to like read every single word to you guys. I know that you don't want all of that, so I'm going to try not to do that. But there's just so much great stuff here. Do you guys have any questions about any of these topics? The Consistency Club, Edge, the new block, anything that you guys have questions about that you want answered, please, please, please let us know. We're happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
I do have a question about the leaders retreat.
Yes.
So on the back office for convention, I know it was like tracking our points for us, and it still has the convention points. So I'm just curious if it did track leaders retreat last year or not.
Well, it didn't, because we didn't have this back office last year, but it will track leaders retreat. I have that in here somewhere. Let me see where I have it. It is coming. They said that it will track, and I think it came in the email that said it will. So hopefully in the next week or so, they will have that updated. And it is retroactive, so all of our points that are already there will show up. And there will be a tracking module for the Consistency Club as well, which is exciting. So there'll be tracking modules for both of those in the back office soon.
Okay, that was my other question too. So if we decide that we want to do one of those groups, we just are kind of keeping ourselves accountable right now, and then it will track for us, or?
Yeah, so you don't have to like commit to them like, oh, I'm going to do Club 500. It's just you work your business, and when you achieve those, then it updates in your back office, and it puts you, there'll be like a tracking, like a chart, and like it'll show like how many new customers you have, what your PV is, and they said it'll update every 2 hours. So if you get a new customer within 2 hours, it should show up, okay, you've got a new customer, and it'll move you along the ranks, however that goes with your Consistency Club. So you commit to yourself, like I'm going to be Club 500 every month.
Okay.
But that's not something that you have to tell the company, hey, I'm working towards this. They're just going to keep track of it, and if you're in it, you're in it. And I'm really excited about the Consistency Club. I think it's a really great thing. I think it's brilliant on the part of the company, because if we all increase our PV with new customers, that means pay points go up, and that means paychecks go up, which is really fun and exciting. Increasing your PV also increases your Leaders Retreat credits, which is really fun and exciting as well. So I think it's a great thing. For the Leaders Retreat portion of it, if you do it 2 out of the 3 months during the Leaders Retreat point contest, then you get an VIP upgraded Leaders Retreat ticket. And they didn't really explain what that means. They just said you get it. But then as far as convention next year, well, the first month that you earn any of it, you're going to get a certificate in the mail and all of that fun stuff. But then if you earn it, either of them, the level 300, 8 out of 10 months, you'll get like a leather, they called it a pad folio, but like what you put a notebook in, and it'll have the logo on there. And then if you do the Club 500, 8 out of 10 months, you get the rustic cuff bracelet that will have the Consistency Club logo as well as the rustic cuff logo on it. And then there's one for men that's just like a braided leather bracelet that looks really nice too. But I know not everybody's motivated by prizes, but that bracelet looks super cute. And I love those bracelets. So plus you make more money. So why would you not want to do it? But that tracking module should be live pretty soon as well. Some of the other things that they did tell us, next day delivery will be an option for those of you who live there next to corporate. That's not an issue for you. But it will be an option to get next day delivery. Obviously, you'd pay more for that, which is really exciting. Live customer service chat, so that you don't have to call in. You can just chat with them live over the computer. They are launching that very soon in Australia and Canada because their ambassadorship is so much smaller. And once they get all those kinks worked out, then they're supposed to be releasing that to those of us here in the United States this winter, which will be exciting. And then we do currently now have a new dedicated line just for customers. When they call that customer service number, they'll push 1 for customer. When we call, we push 2 for ambassador. And customer calls will always be answered first. Right now there's no waiting anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But if there were to be something else come up in the future that happened like it did last fall, where wait times were 1 hour to 2 hours on the phone, this will be huge for our customers. We're getting a newly designed website, a customer front website. I don't believe our back office is going to change again, but what the customers see is going to change. It's going to be a lot more fresh, a lot more in line with the company's ideals, rather than just focus on weight loss, which is kind of where it's been in the past. It's going to focus on health, which is exciting. We will be getting a mobile app soon, which will be really nice. It will be very mobile friendly. And then they are doing more studies to increase product claims. So we do now have product claims for Block and Edge, and hopefully they'll be releasing those for the other products very, very soon. So those were some of the other things that they shared with us, which I thought were really beneficial. And so there are a lot of great things coming. One of the other things, and you'll probably see it on Facebook if you haven't already, that, and this was the very first thing at convention, Victor Antonio was our MC, and he was talking about negative people and just people who are sucking the joy out of your life, and that if you have those people, you just hold your hand up and you say, delete, and you move on. You don't have to do it to their face. That might be a little bit rude. Depending on the person, it might be necessary. But just knowing that, like, mentally in your mind, you can just be like, delete, and not care what they have to say, not put another thought into it, and just move on to the next person. And I think that's a lot easier said than done, but something that definitely is a good mindset to have, is that you just need to move on to the next person. Rita Davenport spoke at Leaders Retreat last fall, and she told us then that you just need to turn around your nose to on to the next person. So when you get a no, flip it over and on to the next person. Do not dwell on them. It's okay to get no's. We expect them. We understand it, and we just move on. And most of those times they're not no forever. They're just no for now. So don't get too upset about it, but just continue to move forward. So Stephanie or Karen, either one, did you remember the story that he told about the 2 farmers, the pessimistic versus the optimistic farmer? I wrote it down, and I wrote down sun, rain, duck, but I don't know what that means. You were muted. What did you say, Karen?
The 2 farmers that did what?
Well, I should have written down 2 farmers, pessimistic versus optimistic, sun, rain, duck. I don't remember. It was even before the delete thing, so I don't know. I don't remember what he said. I need to find somebody else who has those notes. I obviously thought it was important enough to write it down, so. Anyway, we also got, I don't know about their sessions, we got tons of book suggestions. I don't know about you, but my desk is covered in books. There's some back here. They're in the floor. I mean, they're everywhere. But we got a lot of suggestions of new and different books. So I'm going to compile a list of those, and I will put those on our page. So if any of you are caught up on your reading and you want new ones, I'm going to put these up for us.
Something about the farmer, like the pessimistic farmer, like one day there was sun, and he was happy because he was like, oh, the sun is going to make my plants grow, whatever. And then the pessimistic farmer was like, no, the sun's going to make my plants all dry up and wither away. And then the next day, oh, he prayed for rain. And then the next day it rained, and then the optimistic farmer was like really glad because, yay, we have rain. It's going to feed my crops are going to get their water, and it's going to nourish them, and they're going to grow and be amazing. And then the pessimistic farmer said, no, now it's going to flood my crops and they're going to die and whatever. And I have no idea what the duck's for. I can't remember that part
either. I remember the first part, but it says duck hunting. I don't know what that means. Was there something
duck?
Ducks? I don't know. There are other entries in my notes that I was reading it and I was like, that's missing a word, or that doesn't make sense. Who knows? But either way, be the optimistic person. Like, there's something optimistic in everything. Pessimistic people are going to always find a negative thing, even when it's exactly what they wanted the day before. So, I'm excited about Dallas. I think it's going to be really, really fun. Last year, there were about 1,200 people that earned it. They did increase the amount of points that you need this year. And I have a feeling that's to try to keep those numbers around that amount so that it's not like 4,000 people that earn it and then they don't know what to do with everybody. I have a feeling that they're going to bring in a lot of fun and excitement because let's be honest, it's Dallas. It's not the ocean. It's not something extravagant. But that just means they're going to have to work harder to spoil us, and I'm totally okay with that. Especially because Dallas is in the very middle of the country. It's a huge hub for most airports and airlines, so it should be very easy for anybody to get to. It should be a lot of fun. I want you guys there. I don't want to go alone. I want you guys there. They pay for your room for you and a guest. Ideally, that guest is your spouse, but they do not have to be. They discourage you from taking a teammate because they want each person to earn it on their own. But they do make allowances for taking a spouse, a parent, a grandparent, or a child. So those were the allowances they gave us last year. There are still some people that bring a teammate, and that's their choice. But the company as a whole does frown upon that because they want each individual person to earn that. But you do get your hotel stay paid for you and a guest for the entire time that you're there. So, and that's step one of 750 points. They pay for your hotel. Anything above that, you're earning those extra things. You're earning cash. You're earning the shopping spree. Whose goal is the $3,000 Nordstrom shopping spree? Anybody? I know nothing about a Nordstrom. I've never been in one. I can't even imagine what I would do with $3,000 in there. And then if you get that, they pay for an additional night stay so that you can come in early and do that. And they pay for your airfare. So get those extra points, get you a nice big shopping spree, and then you get everything up until that point, which is quite a bit of money. And then some, like a chef tasting with the executives or something. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on this year. So should be a lot of fun. Anyway, make sure that you're utilizing the events that are going on this summer with Summer Spectacular. There is one that is about halfway over tonight, so hopefully you had some people invited to that. I'm excited for this summer. I think that it's going to really explode. I am hoping that corporate does a big giant special like they did last summer, which would be incredible, but we can't count on that. But you can always do your own. You just can't publicly promote them. This is a great time to reach back out to anybody and everybody who maybe didn't want to spend the money on Slim but was looking for energy and get them on edge. Are all of you guys taking it? Have you tried it? Yeah. No. So it is definitely energy inducing. And most people I have seen have some additional side effects that are not listed of decreased appetite, which not a bad thing as long as you're still eating enough calories and you're eating healthy choices. Having a decreased appetite is not a bad thing. And an increased thirst for water, which is also a really great side effect. So it's been great so far. I have several people in the past who gave up and quit the Slim because they did not like the taste. So capsule, way, way better for that. And this is so inexpensive. Guys, for preferred customers, it's $1 a day. That's huge. You know, if they go buy energy drinks or coffee, they're spending way more than that. So this is very, very cost effective, clean energy, and no added chemicals, no sugars, none of that junk. So this is definitely a good thing. I have a heart condition and I have not had any issues. The amount of caffeine in there is very minimal compared to what most people are used to having in their diet anyway. I don't have a ton of caffeine since I gave up soda almost 2 years ago, but it's not bothered me at all. So just know that if you have people who are concerned, have them talk to their doctor. But as someone who with a heart condition, I've not seen any issues. So this is a good time to reach out and follow up, do specials. You're going to get a $5 product bonus if somebody orders it as preferred. So feel free to pass that right back to them and tell your people like, hey, if you sign up and get this as a preferred customer, I'll give you $5 back, which is what I make off of it. And then they might be like, oh, well, if she's going to like give up her commission to get me to try it, maybe it's that amazing. So use that to your advantage. Get those new customers for the Consistency Club. If you can get them to order a second product, so they're over 50 PV, that's Leaders Retreat points. Just making sure you're strategically thinking through what you need to do to get those points to get you there, because you want them to have that PV over 50, so that you're getting those points for them. If you have questions about any of this, obviously feel free to reach out at any time. I'm just really pumped. I thought convention was amazing. I'm so glad that that we were able to go and that I got to take people with me this year. Courtney met me there last year and she had just signed up like the week before and was probably very overwhelmed by all of it. So it was nice this year to have some more seasoned people there who kind of knew a little bit more what to expect and were really excited and ready for learning all of that. So it's a lot of fun. I expect a lot more next year, but I also expect a lot of us to be at Leaders Retreat, which would be really fun. So I hope you guys have a really great night. And thank you very, very much for getting on here. I do appreciate you giving up your time. So have a great night.